Since you liked the first season summary of Kyle XY, I'll summarize the second season. By the way, I'll leave the season 1 video in the comments if you missed it. For those who don't want to watch the previous video on Theo, here's a brief summary. Kyle is a clone created by a famous scientist and the government. Kyle's DNA was taken from Adam, who is now the leader of a group planning to fight the government for control of technology. Oh, and there might be other clones, so Kyle could have siblings. Now, let's get straight to the story. Kyle has arrived at Adam's mansion, where Adam tells him his brain can do great things. He just needs to learn to use it and unlock dormant sectors. Telekinesis becomes possible. Adam developed these abilities naturally. His mother carried him in her womb for 13 months, the right time for the brain to fully develop. And Kyle was created in a machine. Despite this, Kyle can use his abilities whenever he wants. In contrast, Adam ends up extremely exhausted to the point of fainting. That's why Kyle is so important and why he's here. His duty is to learn everything Adam teaches him to help humanity with his gift. One night, while Kyle was talking to Lori, he heard a loud noise. It turns out that Adam had tripped and fallen to the ground. His body is feeling the strain of the training he's doing with Kyle, and that's why he's weak. This causes Kyle to forget about the video call, and the minutes pass. Now the government might have tracked them because Kyle didn't follow the 2-minute rule. The next morning, while they were practicing their skills, a bullet came out of nowhere and killed Adam. Kyle's mistake with the video call has cost them dearly. To strike back, Tom leaves the boy in a safe place and heads towards the government base. There he plans to leave several bombs and send them to hell, but ends up encountering Project 20, a girl the same age as Kyle. Nevertheless, the world already has enough with one clone, so Tom sets the bombs, and when he's on his way out, he runs into Kyle, who has followed him. The boy seems to feel something calling him, but Tom knocks him out and drags him out of the base. When Kyle wakes up, he breaks free from Tom and tries to go back. But just then the base explodes and everything turns into a ball of fire. Tom hopes Kyle understands what he did and becomes the new Adam. To do that, he must master his skills and become stronger, but Kyle tells him no. Now that the government won't be a problem, he wants to return to Nicole's house and have a normal life. Tom doesn't see a problem with that and allows Kyle to reunite with his family, who are very happy to have him back. Meanwhile, we see a scene from deep within the forest. Project 20 is alive and free. Shortly after, 20 encounters a man in the middle of the forest. The man thinks he's hit the jackpot, as in front of him there's a young woman with a perfect body, naked in the middle of nowhere with a whiskey to gather courage. The young woman approaches, and 1 later, she lifts him by the neck and throws him like a rag doll, killing him instant. The next morning, she walks through the park. Everything seems new to her, but people seem to matter little to her. Suddenly, Kyle appears and something inside her guides her to him, but Kyle keeps running through the park and escapes her view, forcing her to walk that way without stopping. In the forest, we meet Emily, a government agent who has been sent by the same people who created the clones. They know that the 20th project is activated, and unlike Kyle, she is equipped with a GPS. They are not willing to make the same mistake and lose this clone as well. Emily examines the area where 20 killed the subject and is astonished to see the strength with which this clone is equipped. Although they managed to escape from the government and there are no obvious reasons to worry, Tom believes it would be best to stay close. So he has bought the house of some neighbors and will have a command center. Kyle tells him that he wants to tell Amanda about his origin, but Tom advises him not to do it. He has to understand that a clone is not something common and much less an enhancement in the brain like the one he possesses. Back in the city, Emily has reached a container where 20 had hidden from the people who were following her. Using a tranquilizer, he puts her to sleep, and when her boss arrives, he sees 20 had been drawn. Julian, his boss, orders him to continue investigating and find Zai now that they know it wasn't destroyed. He wants them both. To speed up adaptation, Julian subjects 20 to rapid maturation. Her name is Jessie, and she will be Emily's sister in the next mission to recover Kyle. Meanwhile, Kyle's abilities are at their peak. The boy accidentally broke the windows of his house, and Tom offers to help him control his impulses to help him maintain a state of calm, forcing him to concentrate and use his mind to protect his feet while walking on burning coals. Making progress, but Kyle leaves as soon as he receives a message from Amanda, who has invited him to a beach party. While Amanda searches for Charlie everywhere, he is flirting with another girl and has managed to get her to wait for him in a nearby cabin. At that moment, his friend Deck shows up and tells him he should look for Amanda before the new guy steals her away. Kyle, gathering courage to tell Amanda the truth about his origin, is interrupted by Charlie. Amanda leaves and Charlie chases Kyle to teach him a lesson, but when he pushes him, he can't move him even 1 centimeter. Kyle glares at him, but then looks at the cabin, which spontaneously catches fire. Frightened, he decides to leave, but the scream of the girl waiting for Charlie makes him return. Using the training he had with Tom, he began to focus and walk straight into the flames. A few seconds later, Kyle came out of the cabin with the girl, but his body is burning. Deck appears and covers him with a blanket, but when the flames go out, he sees Kyle's body is intact. His clothes burn, but not his skin. In shock, he doesn't blink and looks at Kyle, then tells him to leave. They'll talk later, but he must go now so no one else sees him. While running, Nicole manages to see Kyle fleeing, but when she gets home, she saves the questions for another time. She just tells him she's glad he's okay. The next morning, Emily intentionally bumps into Nicole to meet her and start a conversation in which she gets her fall. At home, Nicole tells her husband that the company he works for has been taken over by another, or he might lose his job. A few minutes later, Emily appears with Nicole's phone, returns it, then walks around the house and memorizes the place. Then when Nicole appears, she admits to spying a bit and knows she's a psychiatrist from the diplomas on the wall and wants to know if she can help with her sister Jessie. Although Nicole does not accept private jobs, Emily ends up convincing her to at least meet Jessie. Things have been difficult after the divorce and the death of her mother. She just wants Jessie to be able to communicate with her, and Nicole falls right into the trap. At night, Kyle goes to bed and sleeps until 4 a.m. Then he gets up and attends his training sessions with Tom. He does it very early so as not to worry his family. Besides, the early bird catches the worm. On the other hand, Deck is following Kyle everywhere and realizes that he trains with someone every morning before dawn. Deck is sure that Kyle is hiding something strange, and that's why he is determined to uncover the truth. One afternoon, when everyone had left, he entered the place where Tom trains Kyle and tried to find some clue about what they were doing. But as soon as he returned to his car, he found the envelope with photos of him, his family, one photo of Lori with a note saying "Stay away while you can." To make the message clear, it would be better not to try to find out Kyle's secret or things could go badly for him. That night, while Kyle was using a band to train his senses, he could hear Amanda scream from her house. He quickly ran and jumped from his room to Amanda's house. After ensuring Amanda was okay, Kyle runs into the street and chases the individual into an alley. Although Amanda's family concludes it was just a thief, Carol, his mother, has lost a very expensive bracelet and blames Kyle for stealing it. He has never believed that Kyle is a decent boy and will do everything in his power to keep him away from his daughter. A few days later, Kyle is obsessed with the neighborhood thief and has hacked the camera system to find him and recover Carol's bracelet. It's the only way to earn her trust and get her permission to go on a real date with Amanda. After watching the cameras for hours, they finally manage to see the thief jump over a fence and enter a house that seems to be empty. However, although the thief was captured, Carol's bracelet is missing and Lori tells him that maybe he sold it at a pawn shop. So he takes it to pawn shops across the city, and after a long day, he finally finds Carol's bracelet. Lori threatens to call the police and accuse the owner of buying stolen goods, but he shows them the receipt, which is in Carol's name. Why did Carol say she was robbed if she actually pawned it weeks ago? Does her family have problems, or is she hiding something else? To recover the bracelet, Kyle sacrifices the ring Adam gave him to win Amanda's love. He's willing to do anything. That afternoon, he returns to Amanda's house and Carol opens the door immediately. She tells him she knows what he did, but she has something that belongs to him. Carol thanks him for the gesture and allows him to spend time with Amanda, who confesses that her family has problems, but she has some savings and wants to pay Kyle for the bracelet. Kyle, who doesn't know that in these situations he should say no, accepts the money and returns the next day to the pawn shop to retrieve the ring. However, the owner tells him that thing was sold just as they left. He doesn't know who bought it, but they paid cash and nearly double the original price to take it immediately. No way. Not far from there, Steven is being hired for a well-paid job and the person who hired him is wearing Adam's ring.
Worried about not being able to recover the ring, Kyle wanders around town for a while, all the time having a strange feeling in his body. While in the cafe, he finally meets Jesse, and then an earthquake occurs at the exact moment they meet. Quickly, Kyle returns home and tells Nicole that he's seeing strange things, but seeing him with Josh. She thinks it's a joke and doesn't pay much attention. Later, while searching for Amanda, he finds that her house has no electricity. Amanda comes out and confesses that they have money problems. Her mother has already sold the car and her piano. The next thing will surely be the house, so this could be goodbye for them. In his next meeting with Tom, Kyle sees Adam giving him a paper, and when Tom brings him back, he has the paper in his hand. On the paper is a name and address. It seems like what's on a letter, but it indicates Kyle sent it to himself, which doesn't make sense since he doesn't remember sending any letter, nor knows how to do it. Still confused and not knowing what the visions are about, Kyle returns to the bathtub to think. Suddenly, he has another vision of Adam, telling him he has the power to see beyond his time. Just needs to train his mind for what's coming and shows him a disc he hid for him. Kyle goes straight to Adam's things and finds the disc. But when he plays it on the computer, he can only hear static, one annoying noise. Hours later, he finally discovers the secret. Adam knew about his fondness for bathtubs, so Kyle listens to the record underwater and deciphers the message. It's just a few words, however. Now he has a little more understanding of how Adam's mind works, and that will help him in the future. That night he went to a party at Lori's, where he was able to see on her computer the same program Adam used for his music. After placing the disc in Lori's computer, he could see that it came with a series of added numbers. Each number represents a letter of the alphabet, so it was easy to decipher the following message, but not so easy to accept it. Clearly, the message said don't trust Tom. This made Kyle spend the rest of the day agitated, and the next morning he couldn't stop thinking that he would be attacked suddenly. Luckily, Amanda is there to make him feel a little better. She invites him to the dance, and after Kyle learns what that means, he accepts without hesitation. Returning home, he feels a strange force upstairs. When he gets to his room, he finds Jesse in his bathtub, apparently cloned like sleeping in bathtubs. Ignoring the strangeness of the situation, Jesse leaves, but they meet again that night at a party, and when their fingers brush while trying to grab something to eat, they create a field of static around them. Shortly after, Deg shows up and takes Jesse away. It seems they've been dating since Lori broke up with him. The party continues and everyone has fun. Amanda is about to kiss Kyle when Emily shows up and wants to take Jesse away, but she refuses, and when the argument escalates, her powers make all the light bulbs in the house explode. Believing it to be an emergency, everyone decides to return home, while Emily takes Jesse as quickly as she can. Seeing Deg upset about Jesse's departure, Kyle decides to talk to him to calm him, but he vents his anger on him and says it's all his fault. Kyle has no idea what he's talking about, but Deg shows him the envelope with the photos he received after following him, including the photo with the threat telling him to stay away from Lori, but Kyle has no idea who would do that. However, he hasn't seen Tom for days and begins to wonder if Adam was right. While Lori cleaned up the party mess, she was attacked from behind, knocked out, and left on the floor. They also stole the necklace Deg gave her for their first anniversary. On the other hand, Steven learns his mother is about to die, so he decides to visit her in the hospital with Kyle so they can see who could have been his adoptive grandfather. As soon as he enters the room, Kyle feels a huge pressure in his head and a sharp pain, like what Jesse causes when near. Upon returning home, he begins to paint and ends up making the exact drawing of a church that Steven's father used to attend, but it was demolished years ago. Steven has no idea how Kyle could draw a building he has never seen, much less visited, but he is determined to find out. The next morning, Kyle wakes up covered in paint. He has made dozens of drawings that don't seem to have any order, but when he puts them together, they form a perfect image of Steven's father's room, who takes him there and feels a bit sad to see the place where his father spent his last years. In his mind, he hasn't been a good son recently, and it hurts him that his father has been alone. After some time at the grandfather's house, without finding anything useful, Kyle sets to look at the painting with Amanda and notices two numbers in the painting that aren't 15 and 11. He doesn't know what they mean yet, but he'll find out soon. Upon seeing the numbers, Steven tells him they are the chapter and verse of his father's favorite passage in the Bible. When they open the book,
they find a letter Stephen wrote to his father over 100 years ago, when their relationship augmented and he began visiting him less. Inside, Stephen knows that his father always loved him, and this made him feel much better about their relationship. Finally, the grandfather dies, but this time his son is by his side to bid him farewell. Back with Jesse, he is on a family camping trip. Emily has taken the kids to the surroundings of the old military base. She wants them, with their skills, to find something useful among the ruins. Kyle separates from the group with decisions and has a vision of Adam inside the facility arguing with the professor. Then he sees the guards taking him away. It was Taylor who betrayed him. The rest of the kids have come to look for them. They're worried about them. But when Jesse is inside the ruins, he has horrible visions about what happened during the explosion. Shortly after, he loses control of his abilities and causes a tremor throughout the place. This breaks a gas pipe, and it starts to fill all the spaces of the inscription. Cal gets everyone to safety, including Jesse, but is forced to go back for what was in Adam's safe. Unfortunately, he inhales too much gas and passes out. The team gets him out, and with a kiss from his beloved Amanda, Kyle recovers quickly. Inside the safe, there was a small box with an inscription. The lock seemed to be the ring that Adam gave him, but now that ring is missing and Kyle has not been able to recover. Doubts about his whereabouts are dispelled that night when Stephen takes his new boss to dinner. It turns out to be Julian, the leader of the government against him. After meeting the family, Julian invites Kyle to visit the company and, by pressuring Stephen, gets him to take Kyle to the Parents and Children Day he made up at the company. Julian tries to get Kyle to undergo one of the tests they conduct there, just for fun, so they can see what they work on, but the boy is not that foolish and refuses. He knows that if Julian has his ring, it's not by coincidence. Something must be hidden, and he won't fall for his game that way. Back home, Kyle tells Tom and Deck what he knows, needing their support to recover the ring and open the box Adam left him. The next day, they put the plan into action. Kyle enters the company by telling his father he wants to use Julian's machine. Learning it could copy Kyle's brain, he immediately agrees. While Kyle is in the company, Deck causes a commotion outside and distracts everyone with some paint, long enough for Tom to enter unnoticed. In Julian's office, Kyle discovers that there is another clone with the name 20th, and both were in the facility that Tom destroyed. That was what Tom wanted to hide from him, which is why he knocked him out before the explosion. After Kyle finds this out, the alarm sounds. Security knows that someone stole a guard's uniform and plans to lock down the building. The team gathers in the elevator and Kyle sees Julian running towards them, so he calculates the exact moment to press the button, causing the elevator door to catch Julian's arm just long enough for him to take the ring. A masterful move that went perfectly. Now they need to escape before the police arrive. While fleeing, Dex falls down the stairs and fractures his ankle, forcing Tom to stay behind to buy them some time. In the end, the boys escape, but Tom is arrested and ends up being taken by Julian's men. In her office, Julian tells Taylor the ring was stolen, and he gets furious knowing its importance. Back with Kyle, he uses the ring to open the box. Inside is a letter intact for 16 years. It contains a photo of Adam with his girlfriend, identical to Jesse. The photo is old, so there's only one explanation. Jesse is also a clone made from Adam's partner so many years ago. A few weeks later, things calm down and Kyle participates with Josh in a contest to win a car. There they can see Jesse, who has returned from her long trip with Emily. While Kyle talks with Jesse, he puts his hand on her shoulder and a connection is created between them. Kyle is able to see his memories in the government facility when everything was chaos and fire from the experience. She tells him to move away and the lights flicker nearby. Deck has something to show them. He reviewed the recordings for the yearbook about the party where Lori was attacked and briefly sees Jesse holding Lori's necklace, meaning she attacked her and left her unconscious. In the alley, Lori is furious and searches for Jesse. When she finds her, she and Kyle are holding hands and have a connection. They are searching Jesse's mind for something about her past. There she can see the moment when Emily shot her with a dart in the container, and now she knows that her sister betrayed her. Or maybe she is not her sister and is hiding something else. As Jesse's emotions rise, the lights flicker and then both receive a strong shock that throws them back in the ambulance. Cal tells her everything he knows about her past and then shows her that he doesn't have a belly button. If she comes from the same place, she won't have one either.
Jessie lifts her blouse and shows him that they are both clones, just as Amanda was coming in. Suddenly, all the memories come back, and he realizes that he murdered a person who was repulsive and grotesque, but ultimately innocent. She doesn't know what Julian did to her with his machine, but she knows she's a killer and plans to take her own life. As she walks to the edge of a cliff, Kyle reaches her and convinces her not to do it. Then he shows her the photo and asks for her help to find the truth about what they are. She can't take her life. They have much to discover about their past and why they're here. Jessie takes the photo and then says out loud some words that repeat in her mind. Kyle begins to look at the ring in detail and can see a small opening inside, as if it were made to project something. Using the car's light, Kyle places the ring and can see a map left by Adam. It's the path they must follow to find the truth. After driving 4 hours, they arrive at a cabin in the middle of the forest. The place seems abandoned, but it has electricity, so they decide to check it out and find a secret door. After analyzing it for a while, they manage to enter, and inside they come across Adam, who is connected to some machines that keep him alive for the moment. As soon as he touches him, his heart rate rises, so he thinks connecting with Jessie could help him. Together they touch Adam and his powers activate, creating a huge light, but suddenly Jessie moves away and repeats that she remembers everything now and then flees. Kyle chases her and begs her to tell him what's going on, but she tells him she's dangerous. This was June's. She has remembered her mission all along and has now accomplished it. With the triple link, she managed to copy Kyle's memories and Adam's at the same time. This was what Julian wanted, and now she knows they're coming for her. Believing that the only way to end this is to destroy herself, Jessie lets herself fall down a huge waterfall, hoping that the fall will destroy what she knows, so they can't use it against her. The second season ends on a cliffhanger, with Jessie's fall and Kyle getting into even more trouble. What is her mind hiding that is so important? Why is Adam still alive? And worse yet, what is Julia planning? Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and if you'd like to see the summary of season